Hello, everybody. Welcome to the review from ACM Mag Escape on YouTube. It is 8:20 p.m. I just finished watching the Whitney Houston musical biopic titled "I Want to Dance with Somebody." As most of you are well aware of, we're nearing the end of the year, and 2022 has been a pretty important year for cinema. When I first saw the trailer for this film, I was initially concerned and yet at the same time intrigued. You're probably wondering, why was the concern there? Musical biopics tend to be hit or miss depending on the actor or actress who's playing that specific artist. You have this initial question as to whether or not they're able to capture the important essence that made the artist who they are, and if they have some musical talent, will they be able to sing those songs? Jamie Foxx portraying Ray Charles in the film Ray was phenomenal. A well-deserved Oscar. The fact that he could sing those songs made it that much more authentic. You have Joaquin Phoenix, who played Johnny Cash in Walk the Line, which was another amazing film. On top of him singing classic Johnny Cash songs, you have Rami Malek, who did Bohemian Rhapsody as Freddie Mercury, which was absolutely brilliant. Taron Egerton as Elton John in Rocket Man, which was also a great film. But what took me out of fully enjoying that is when I'm a huge fan of Elton John. I love his music. Hearing Taron Egerton sing Benny and the Jets, your song, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, Someone Save My Life Tonight, those iconic Elton John songs that just brim with true, genuine emotion, his voice just took me out of fully enjoying the experience. So when I heard Naomi Aki is portraying Whitney Houston, my concern meter went up to the stratosphere as I was thinking, okay, there is no way anyone is going to be able to replicate the voice of Whitney Houston. It's just not going to happen. Her voice, in and of itself, is a national landmark in totality, and I don't think anybody else would be able to disagree with that. Was truly one of a kind. So as I sat there watching the film, as it started, I actually had to pull out my phone briefly in order to do some quick research in order to confirm certain facts or tidbits of facts that were included in the film, because I know when it comes to biopics, there's always going to be certain details that are embellished in order to make it more accessible for the viewing audience. So when I researched that particular fact, I'm not going to go into it because topics like that are very sensitive across the spectrum of the internet and social media. So I want to avoid any type of sensitive topics of this magnitude. But when I found out that particular fact, I was thinking, okay, well, they didn't specifically allude to it or make it obvious. How it kind of left it to your imagination. So that was a pretty good. I thought that was very good of them to more or less not deny nor confirm suspicious of that particular time period. But I have to say, I Want to Dance with Somebody was one of those type of cinematic experiences that you have to enjoy on the big screen. Hearing Whitney Houston's voice, and as I sat there watching it, before Whitney Houston had this ability to be able to, when it came to her singing, she gradually built up to the crescendo of the song. When hearing the initial vocal cords, I thought, oh man, please don't tell me Naomi Aki is going to attempt to sing these songs. And as soon as that voice, there is no mistaking the voice of Whitney Houston. Absolutely not. Admittedly, I didn't fully get into Whitney Houston until the 90s when The Bodyguard came out, and her career skyrocketed into the literal stratosphere. I mean, her career in essence erupted like Mount Everest. You just simply cannot fathom how big she was in the 90s. And The Bodyguard soundtrack by far is literally one of the greatest soundtracks of all time, and she killed it. You don't buy that soundtrack for any other song other than her songs on that album. As mixed reviews have been associated with the film itself, we all could agree that soundtrack is just the heaven on ears. You can't go wrong with it. But Naomi Aki did such an amazing job in portraying the sass and the attitude, the independence that Whitney Houston exuded on a daily basis, whether it was in interviews, on stage, or Whitney had a very tough and traumatic life, and given the tragedy that she experienced, obviously with the drug usage, um, you do begin to wonder exactly how much of an effect that Bobby Brown may have had an effect on her in terms of whether or not because of him she got into drugs in the first place. I loved how the film didn't necessarily point the finger at him. It alluded to it, but it didn't necessarily say, well, you know what, he was the full cause of it. It allowed you to formulate your own conclusion in terms of their relationship. And while personally, I don't believe that he was necessarily fully responsible for the downward spiral that Whitney Houston went through in terms of her drug use, he didn't necessarily help her either, because his reputation of being the R&B bad boy only, I think, fueled her descent into the vices that ultimately claimed her life. However, hearing her voice on the big screen was phenomenal. I got goosebumps just hearing her voice through the PA speakers. You simply will never be able to have a voice that is going to be replicated of that magnitude. Her voice is a literal national monument or landmark. There's a reason why they called her the voice. She absolutely deserved that honor. And I watched this film particularly, and Naomi Ackie embodied Whitney Houston in terms of the physical contributions, the facial expressions, her tone of voice whenever she was speaking, and and along with the intensity that she would exude when she was performing these iconic songs. There were certain moments of the experience in general where I was thinking, man, I'm watching Whitney Houston live and in living color. There were certain scenes where she looked exactly like her, specifically when it was this segments of "I Want to Dance with Somebody" or "I Will Always Love You," the Bodyguard soundtrack song. Interestingly enough, when you think about it, even though that wasn't Whitney Houston's song in and of itself, the fact that she took a Dolly Parton song and made it her own shows you how remarkable of a talent she was. As well as, I did enjoy the fact that they highlighted her relationship with her parents as well, along with the constant need of potentially trying to be America's sweetheart, America's princess for everybody and abroad. And it really gives you a sense of sadness in terms of how she was being pulled in all forms of different directions, how the lifestyle of the rich and famous isn't as glamorous as they have attempted to allude to in the past. I mean, when you think about all the eyes are on you every single day of the week, 24/7, there is no time to breathe or take a break, and so much of it is expected of you with the high expectations of being able to maintain a voice that is essentially the soundtrack of every single generation. So, having said that, "I Want to Dance with Somebody" I have to put it up there for me personally, and my personal preference. It's up there with Ray, Bohemian Rhapsody, Walk the Line, and I'm even going to say The Rose and Purple Rain. All those are classic musical films to me, and this is up there in terms of capturing what Whitney Houston was all about and how she was a one-of-a-kind talent. You're never going to have anything like her again, and that is one of the saddest elements of her life, that it almost feels as if it was a complete waste, because even though she channeled a generation of just classic music, you just think, man, how in the world did she become so ingratiated, if you will, into the vices of alcohol and drugs, and it just took her life. And it's sad when you think about just how much of an influence that she's had on musical artists throughout the years. And Naomi Ackie, if she isn't nominated for an Academy Award for her performance, then I would be very surprised, because she did an amazing job. And I have to say, one of the great things that I've been enjoying about these musical biopics is the spot-on casting that they have implemented, in terms of being able to say, you know what, this actor looks exactly like Clive Davis. Stanley Tucci as Clive Davis looks exactly and sounds like him too. You have the actor who played Bobby Brown looked exactly like him, and even sounded like him too, which was just frightening in my opinion. The actress that they got to play their daughter looks exactly like her too. So, and Naomi Ackie, as I mentioned, looked exactly and sounded like Whitney Houston. Overall, I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. Once again, do not go in there expecting any type of special fancy camera effects that is going to wow you in terms of their spectacular ability to mesmerize you. You are watching a story of a very talented actress and singer that will forever live in history. I mean, Whitney Houston's voice is American history. And I have to really say that this film hit the mark for me. Absolutely emotional, tragic, sad, and gives you the ability to appreciate the talent that is Whitney Houston and how much of a voice, how her voice was a gift from God. So I have to say, I Want to Dance with Somebody, 2 thumbs up, 10 out of 10. I wouldn't say it's for children. There is some very deep, harsh realities involved in the music world and the entertainment industry, along with drugs and alcohol, and so this not necessarily something that I do believe is good for children. But as far as it being a date film or watching with your friends or family, it is something that I do believe is very important to watch and a required viewing. So that is my review of I Want to Dance with Somebody. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about it. Let me know on the Facebook what you thought about it. And as per usual, my Discord link is is on my YouTube channel. And feel free to spread the word to your friends and family and hit the subscribe button below. And you'll be hearing from me again, my friends. Take care and peace out.